Question 13. Solve these equations. 2x minus 3 is equal to 8. So we want the x by itself. So the first thing we have to do is we have to get rid of the subtract 3. So the opposite of subtract 3 is plus 3. So we add 3 on this side and we add 3 on this side. So what's 8 add 3 is 11. So the take away 3 and the add 3 cancel out, and this 2x, we haven't done anything, so we just copy it down exactly as we see it. So now we know that 2x is equal to 11, or 2 lots of x are equal to 11. So if we now divide both sides by 2, we'll find out what x is. So divide both sides by 2. So obviously the times 2 and the divide 2 cancels out, leaving with just x or 1x. And here I've got 11 over 2. So we have to write this as a mixed number. You can leave it like this, but it's nice to leave it as a mixed number. So x is equal to, copy the fraction 9, copy the divide 2 as usual, and then ask yourself how many 2's go into 11. So 2 goes into 11 5 times, and the remainder to get to 11 is 1. So 2 times 5 is 10, add 1 is 11. So x is equal to 5.5. Always check your answer. So 2 times x minus 5 is equal to 8. This is how the question started. So we thought that x is equal to, we'd use the improper fraction. We thought x is equal to 11 over 2. So 2 times 11 over 2, take away 5, is equal to 8. Now remember, this here can be written as 2 over 1 times 11 over 2, and then the take away 5 is equal to 8. Now if you multiply the fractions across, there will be another separate playlist for multiplying fractions. So if you multiply the numerators of the two fractions, 2 times 11 is 22. If you multiply the denominators, 1 times 2 is just 2. And just write take away 5 is equal to 8. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. Oops, it wasn't 5, it was 3. Take away 3. Just realize 11 take away 3 is indeed equal to 8. So therefore our answer is correct. Obviously in the exam, do not, I've just done it for illustration, but do not cross out numbers like that, and obviously numbers are a lot bigger on the page, so that you don't make a mistake like I just did there, where I was taking away 5 instead of taking away 3. And again, this is another good illustration of why you should always check your answer, okay? Because we're human beings and we can make mistakes, and especially in an exam situation, when you're under pressure, you might make these mistakes. Okay, moving on to the next bit of the question. We're to solve the equation 3x plus 7 is equal to x plus 1. Now here is slightly different from all the questions I've done before. We've got unknowns and numbers on both sides. So what we have to ask ourselves now is, on which side is there more x's? Is it on the left hand side or the right hand side? So obviously on the left hand side we've got 3x, and on the right hand side we've just got 1x. So what we want to do is we want to bring all the x's over to the side where there's more of them. So in this case it's the left hand side. So that means on the right hand side we want to get rid of this x. So remember, x plus 1 is the same as 1 plus x. So if we want to get rid of this plus x, we have to take away x from both sides. So that's the first thing we want to do. We want to take away x from here, we want to take x from here. So now that means that this plus x and this minus x cancels out, leaving with just 1 on this side. And on this side, 3x take away x is 2x. So 3x take away x is just 2x. And the plus 7, we've done nothing with it, so we can just leave it as it is. I'm just going to copy the question over here. 3x plus 7 is equal to x plus 1. It will be useful for us when we come back to do substitution to check our answer. Okay, so now we've got 3x plus 7 is equal to 1. So we want the x by itself, so that means we have to get rid of this plus 7. How do you get rid of the plus 7? We would take away 7 from both sides. So now we'll have 2x is equal to, remember we said we want to take away 7 from both sides. So 1 take away 7 is minus 6 or negative 6. Remember, the plus 7 and the minus 7 cancels out, leaving with just 2x on the left hand side. And on this side, on the right hand side, 1 take away 7 is equal to negative 6. Now to get the x on its own, we have to divide both sides by 2. So divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here. So what's 6? Minus 6 divided by 2 is minus 3. Don't forget it's a negative number, so it's negative 3. When you divide a negative with a positive, you get a negative answer. And here, the times 2 and the divide 2 cancels out, leaving with just x. So we now think x is equal to negative 3. Now let's substitute this in. So remember, the question started off as this. So instead of 3 times x, we will now write 3 times negative 3, and then continue, plus 7 is equal to, again instead of x, we'll write negative 3, and then continue with plus 1. So we have a BIDMAS, root of 3 times negative 3, which is negative 9. So negative 9 add 7. And here, on the right hand side, negative 3 add 1 is negative 2. So is negative 9 add 7 equal to negative 2? Yes, it is. So therefore, we were correct. X is equal to negative 3. So question 14, again, as you can see, we've got x's on the left and x's on the right, and we've got just numbers on the left and on the right. So the first thing we have to do is identify which side has more x. Is the left hand side or the right hand side? So obviously, clearly we can see 5x is more than 3x. So the left hand side has more x's. So what we're going to do first is move all the x's to one side, to the left hand side. So what we have to do is we're going to get rid of the plus 3x on the right hand side. So how do you get rid of this plus 3x? Well, we have to take away 3x on the right and take away 3x on the left. So on the right hand side, the plus 3x and then minus 3x cancels out as we wanted, leaving us with just 6 on the right hand side. And on the left hand side, the plus 5x and the minus 3x. Okay, so we'll do 5x take away 3x, which is 2x. And the negative 1 is just left as it is. We didn't do anything to it, so just copy that down. 2x minus 1 is equal to 6. So now, on the left hand side, because we want to work out what x is on its own, we have to get rid of this minus 1 first. So how do you get rid of minus 1? We have to add 1 to both sides. So we add 1 here, and we add 1 here. So now, on the right hand side, 6 add 1 is equal to 7. So we write 7, and on the left hand side, the minus 1 and the plus 1 is cancelled out, leaving us with 2x. So now to get x on its own, we could divide both sides by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So 7 over 2, so 7 divided by 2, just write it as 7 over 2. And then on the left hand side, the times 2 and the divide 2 cancel out, leaving us just x. So x is equal to 7.5, and it's probably better to leave it as a mixed number. Sorry, I didn't mean 7.5, I mean 7 over 2, which is written as 3.5. And we've already explained how to turn an improper fraction into a mixed number. Now we have to always remember to check your answers. So remember, the question started off as 5x minus 1 is equal to 6 plus 3x. So it'd probably be easier to deal with this question using the improper fraction. So x is equal to 7 over 2. So we write 5 times 7 over 2, take away 1, is equal to 6 add 3 times x. Until 3 times x, we want to write 3 times 7 over 2. Copy the equal sign. So on the left hand side, that's almost the same as saying, well, it is the same as saying 5 over 1 times 7 over 2, take away 1, which is 6, add 3 over 1 times 7 over 2. This is what I've done, is I've put the 3 as 3 over 1 just to make it more obvious how we multiply the fractions. And remember, there's a different playlist for multiplying fractions. So 5 times 7 is, on the left hand side, 5 times 7 is 35, and 1 times 2 is just 2, take away 1. And the right hand side, 6 is equal to, so 6 should add 6 add, and then 3 times 7 is 21, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now I want to actually stop this here to save a bit of time. You can do this on your own, just continue, just check that your answers are correct.